Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's September 30th, 2022, and one of the things, our list is quite large for this fall to get set with things and all, and we're haven't had a frost yet, but it was real close. It was down to about 35 degrees Fahrenheit last night. Freezing is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And so there's things I've got to do over in this eastern garden plot, but one of the things I wanted to do was work on the western garden plot here. So I did come in here the other day and I mowed this area, all the grasses and everything that have grown up. That's the blueberry patches up there. There's a corkscrew or curly willow cuttings that we grew out this season. So those two beds up there that aren't, that are corkscrew curly willows and some weeds, as well as some what is there? There's some red currants in there, red currants and hosta berries. And so I want to get those out this fall, pretty soon that is. And I need to deal with the triple crown thornless blackberry plants I got in here. The vines were all over out here and all over out here. The deer have been munching back on these ones. You can see the difference. Many of the leaves are off of these. And I've clipped off the bases of these as I've driven by with a mower. So my goal today is to see if I can find the pots in here, cut off the root mass that go into the base of the pots, leave a little bit of the vines on them, and see how much I can get out of there. In the past, you may recall what I did do was we had pots in this area of triple crown thornless blackberry plants, and this was several years ago, and the roots worked their way down through the pot, established good root systems in the soil. I cut off where the root left the pot and took those and used those and sold those. The next spring, upshot some new shoots of the triple crown thornless blackberry plants, and so I decided to try something and put pots. So I took the shoots and put them through the base hole in pots and put soil in there, and they all rooted just fine, and that worked really great. And I harvested them that way, and I'd planned on doing that over and over again. But things got so busy these last 2 years, and these things grew out like crazy with the vines all over in here. So my goal today, one of my goals this morning is to see if I can find the pots that are in here, cut them off, remove the pots, and trim off all the excess stuff that's here on the chain link. Get this area cleared out. I'll have to come over with Elon and dig down into the soil that's here to dig out the rest of the triple crown roots, so that I can rework and straighten up the chain link around here. And eventually the triple crown thornless blackberry plants will be in this area here, but there'll be weed mats down, there'll be drip irrigation and all that. And that should protect it from the white-tailed deer that love to munch on these plants. So that's my plan for this morning, is see, can I get in here? I piled up all these vines on top of each other, and now let's see if we can get them out of here. So, let's see. Okay, I've got a few piles of the canes, which end up turning into like big vines. Got piles of those, and I pulled out the pots, which I'll show you in a moment. And this was so thick that it overshadowed, created too much shade for some of the vines to shoot up a second year. But I've got lots of, probably half a dozen to a dozen different thornless blackberry bushes. Their roots are still in the ground. I cut the tops back somewhat. I'll probably cut them back more. But my thought is I'll bring Elon over, the Takushi T11, TB290 and excavator, and reach down with a bucket and see if I can tease up as much of the roots as possible. I don't want to leave too much root in the soil because it'll just shoot up. And these are such tough plants, they may shoot up through a weed mat. So they're intertwined with the chain link here, so the kennel panels, so I'll have to take some of that out. And I do want to rework the mulch. I was hoping to get more wood chips, but we never got any more wood chips. But I've got to straighten this up and straighten out the kennel panels here. But I'll tease some of these up and out of here. And I'll show you what we got over here in Pepe. So some of these pots are empty right now because just weeds growing up, and you could see the canes that were there were the older canes that had died back 2 years ago, and they shot up so late that the rest of the canes were already pretty darn well established, and they completely shaded out the rest. But you could see the various stages of tip rooting. So here's a nice tip rooted plant here. See if I can find some. Here's one a bit earlier and even earlier. You could see where the tips of the canes, when they bend over, there's some more canes down there. So all of these can get potted up. But as the blackberry plants, they extend up, and then the tip falls down because they keep growing forever until the end of the season. And as the tips are sitting in the soil, they'll start to send down roots. And then the next year from those roots, a new cane, a prima cane will show up. And it takes about 3 years for it to really get to producing good berries. But that's what we got. I got a bunch of empty pots. I got several tip-rooted plants here that we got to pot up. And I got a few pots here with some of the prima canes in them. So prima cane is the first cane of the season. The floral cane is the second cane after it overwinters. After this cane overwinters, so this is a prima cane. This was in the shade, so it didn't grow a lot. And so next year, a new shoot will come up from the base here, and that one will be the new prima cane, and this will be the floral cane, the one that can produce some berries next year. So I hope that makes sense. So I think I'm going to move these over into the coop area so we can get these potted up. Okay, it's a few hours later and I've gotten some work done over here. There's a lot more to do in this area to get things in shape for next year. But that whole area had all of these semi-erect, thornless, triple crown blackberry plants in there. And so I used, first I did as much as I could by hand. Then I came over and pruned everything back and used Elon, my extended arm, to reach down here and dig up some of this material. There's quite a few grass and weeds in here I'll have to deal with. I knocked my gate over here off of the one of the kennel panels, and I still have a lot to do. What I probably will do is take some. First, I've got to deal with the soil that's here. I got to clean up the mess over here. This will maybe tomorrow. I don't know what I'll get to, and either tarp this area to try and kill all the weeds, or potentially even rototill the area. And it does destroy some of the soil structure and all, but in order to get it initially established, similar to what we did with the blueberry beds over there, try and get this closer to being set. I may take some sand and bring it right along where the chain link is, because all of this organic material is breaking down, and the chain link will just sink in here bit by bit over time. So I may take some sand, which can work in between some of the wood chips as they're breaking down, and then put some cardboard over it, and maybe even put some blocks on top of the cardboard to hold the kennel panels up so that I could use a weed whacker around there potentially. I don't know yet. These are just some of my thoughts, but I've still got a lot of work to do to straighten things out here with the kennel panels, and lots of weeds down there. I don't know if I'll get to that this year, but this is looking a bit better, and but there is a heck of a lot more work to do. So that's a little bit of work in the western garden plot. Oh, I'll show you the plants that I got out of there. I've already put a whole bunch of plants in the coop area, but here are the ones that were, some of these roots are really extensive, and I've got some that are also more tip rooted here, the finer roots here you can see, as opposed to these thicker roots all over in here, which are quite extensive. So the bigger ones I'll heel in. I'm not going to pot those up. The smaller ones, we'll see if we can get those potted up. So that's the project. I think I'll end the video at this point. We'll see if I can get some more time to work in this western garden plot tomorrow and get some more accomplished. Now I got to break the news to Thea. She's got more plants to pot up. Every day potting up plants. Well, if you found this video of value, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and take good care of yourselves, folks, and have a super fantastic day. The other thing I would say is, if you get a chance to have some perennial plants that keep coming back, keep bearing fruit or nuts year after year, that's a good thing to invest in. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.